Java, it will create a executable file. Generally, we have a class files, right? Class file is nothing but the executable file. So why you are compiling this means, generally whatever the code you are writing, it is in the human readable format. Okay, like include stdio dot whatever it may be you write, that is in the human readable. That is after compilation, it will be converted to the machine understandable format, so that it will connect to your machine and whatever the output you want, it will provide. So if I am giving the source code means the main code to you, then it is called as a open source. Okay, if I am not interested to give the code, whatever I am created, okay, I am only giving you the binary, then it is called as a closed source. Okay, open source means, for example, this gedit, I am getting the binary. Along with the binary, if I get the original source code, then it is called as a open source. Okay, if they are not interested to give their source code or whatever the code they've written for that application, then it is called as a closed source. Like Windows is a closed source because they are not interested to give their operating system code to everyone. When coming to the Linux, so in Linux, what happened is we require a kernel, right? So forget about the Linux here, because every operating system have the same concept: kernel, shell, and applications. So most of the times, okay, one of our friends said Unix is completely closed source, like Windows is closed source. Okay, so what happened is Linus Torvald is one of the person who created the kernel. Okay, he developed the kernel and he gave it to the open source. Means he written his own kernel code. Okay, he is very good at languages. So what he did is he created his own kernel code for the machines. Like at the time we have i386 or some machines. Okay, actually this is the architecture. Okay, i386 or something is the architecture. So he developed his own kernel code for this i386 machine, and he gave this kernel code to the open source. That's why, so Linux kernel is open source. Okay, do remember that every operating system means kernel, shell, and application. Okay, generally Unix and Windows both are the closed source, and whenever they are providing, they completely provide as a pack of these three, like kernel, shell, and application. Now, when coming to the Linux, so first of all, Linux is nothing but the kernel. Okay, shell is different, application is different again. And who developed this Linux means that Linux kernel developed by the Linus Torvald for i386 machines. Because at that time, all the operating systems, like especially Unix, it was completely closed source and expensive. So he developed his own kernel for his architecture, and he gave this kernel to the open source. That's why we can call it as Linux is open source. It doesn't mean that Linux operating system is open source. Okay, Linux is open source means the kernel of the Linux is open source, not the operating system. But we know that only kernel is not enough, right? So that we require a shell. So for that, there is some organization called GNU. So from this GNU, you can get open source shells, open source applications. So you can combine all these three to create a complete operating system called Linux operating system. So Linux operating system means the applications or the shells based on the Linux kernel. Okay, even you can see GNU also. GNU. Okay, here you can see collection of free softwares which can be used as an operating system or can be used in parts with the other operating systems. Okay, for example, some of the applications from this GNU is not only available for Linux, even for Windows. Okay, VLC player is the best example. Okay, it is also available for Windows operating system. This GNU. Okay, this is a free software foundation. So you can get all the collection of tools here. So Linus Torvald developed his own kernel. After developing the own kernel, he given to this GNU. Okay, after giving the GNU, we have different operating systems, different applications available. So that applications, we can select it here. See, these are all the applications here. Okay, which contains everything like your shells, okay, your applications and all. So that combined package is called what? Linux operating system. Any queries here?
Yeah. No, sir. Sir, the screen is closed, sir. Sharing screen.
It is visible now?
No, sir.
Yeah, sir. I
Here,
think
same for
you're,
others?
I think you're good, sir. I think Ravi has some issues.
Okay.
Yes, please voice out if you have any questions.
Yeah, anyone, any questions? If you have any confuse or if you want to know some more in detail, please let me know. Or else we'll go further. Okay. So I hope you.
Sir,
Yes.
need some information about GNU, sir.
Okay, GNU is nothing but the collection of free softwares. Okay, let it be you are a developer. Okay, even I am also a developer. Even Srihari is also a developer. So what we do is you are developing your own application. For example, you created some application X. I developed some application Y. So what we can do is there are two things. One is we don't give to anyone, means that our source code we are not interested to give to anyone, and we wanted to use for ourselves or I wanted to sell, right, in the form of the binary. That is one, like what Microsoft does or Adobe does, etc. The second one is I developed the application some X, you developed some application Y. Now what we both wanted to do is we want to make our source code available for everyone, so that not only you and me, okay, within our group, if anyone can get the source code and they can develop their own applications. You are getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you are a developer. If you are interested to give your source code to everyone, then you can put it into GNU. Okay, so that the members of GNU can download it, they can develop their own applications, okay, because it is free and open for all. Okay, or if you are not at all interested to give to open, so that you can keep yourself and it is not comes under GNU because it is not free. Okay, or you are not at all interested to give your source code. Is
Okay,
it
sir.
clear? Okay. Okay, we can get the source code also here. Okay, here you can see non-free software. Okay, here you can see non-free software is any software which is not free, need to use. Redistribution or modification of the code is not at all allowed. Is it clear? Like some persons, they are developing their own applications and they are not at all interested to give their source code to anyone. That is non-free. Even proprietary also comes under this one. Okay, means some person owns his own application. For example, I created one application. I can put my name, I can register it, and I can sell it like Microsoft. How Microsoft is doing, right? Freeware. Freeware is one of the application, but here there is something. You are a developer and you are giving that application for free, but not the source code. Okay. Private. Actually, private, commercial, all comes under the proprietary. Okay. Commercial as well as private. Okay. Shareware is different. Shareware means you have to purchase it. Okay. In order to use it, you can purchase. Okay. Here you can see. source code is not available. Actually, whatever the information is there, like source code is not available, it is same for all like shareware, private software or commercial software, etc. Okay, so mainly we can say, okay, let me give you even simple example. There are three types of applications here. One is open source. So open source means that application and the code both are available to public. Is it clear? Open source means that applications and what are the source code both are available to public. Means either they wanted to use that application, they can use as is, or else he can modify the source code as per his needs and he can use it. Okay, this is open source. Second one is free. Okay, anyway, open source is also a free, but in some cases what will happen, only application is available to public, not source code. You are getting my point? Someone are interested to give their application for free. Okay, so that the public can download it, the public can use it. But he is not interested to give the source code, means they cannot modify. Okay, as we see here, right? Okay, source code is not available. And third one is, okay, in free we can say it is a freeway or private something. Okay, even some applications are not even available to public also. Okay, that is also comes under some part, but we'll ignore this for now. And the third one is commercial or shareware. So in this case, what will happen? Application is available to public. Okay, but what it is required, need to buy. Okay, so in the commercial or shareware, what will happen? Application is available to public, not even open source, but you need to buy in order to use this application. Like Microsoft Office. Microsoft Office is example for commercial. Okay, it is not available to public. Okay, in order to use freely, it is not possible. Free application is available, but source code is not available. Open source application, source code, everything is available. Is it clear? So generally,
Okay, sir.
these applications comes into the GNU. GNU have some open source or some free applications also. Okay, got the difference? Open source, everything is available to public, including the source code. Free, only application is available for public, not the source code. Okay, source code is restricted. But commercial or application, so even it is the application is not even available to public. If you want to use, you should buy. Okay, to use that application. That is the difference. So if you are a developer and if you want to make it open for everyone, then develop your application and you can put that application into this GNU. Okay, so once you put this into GNU, anyone can download it, they can use it. Okay, here you can see. You can see categories free and non-free. Okay, free software, public domain. Okay, some permissions. Okay, other licenses. User has unlimited rights to the source code. Okay, non-free. User does not receive source code, or you can receive with the non-free license. Okay, here also you have a freeware. Freeware, so shareware means I told you, right? If some person is interested to give you the application, okay, like see here, non-free software means application is available to public, but source code is not available. Okay, those comes under here. Okay, so let's come to our main part. So what is Linux means? Linux is the operating system like which includes the kernel, shell, and applications, and that is bundled and provided to the public as a Linux operating system. Now, here is the question. If it is the Windows operating system, yes, we can say Microsoft is the person who provides it. Similarly, if we have a Apple Mac, so we know that Apple is the person who is providing the operating system support and everything by the Apple. But what about Linux? Because as I told you that Linux is a kernel developed by Linus Torvald. So Linus Torvald provides only the kernel but not the entire operating system. Even some other persons may provide shells but not the entire operating system. So in this case, what happened is some companies like Red Hat, okay, Ubuntu, okay, or there are different applications like Debian. What they did is they took all the applications from this GNU, like which includes kernel, shell, and applications, and they built the entire operating system. Means they took care of kernel, shell, and applications and integrating all and providing to the public. Okay, so this operating system is called Linux operating system. So in this case, Linux operating system can be developed by anyone. Okay, even if I am interested, I can develop my own company and I can put something like ABC Linux. Like how we know Red Hat Linux, Ubuntu Linux, similarly I can say some ABC Linux or some XYZ Linux. Okay, so after developing this, I can give it for free or I can use it for the commercial purpose. Okay, it depends upon me because we know that in the free software we have a complete freedom because I took all the applications from open source. So I develop it and I can give to public, okay, or I can sell the applications. Okay, it depends upon us. Okay, so that's why we have thousands of Linux operating systems are available. Even if you are very good at programming, you can download the kernel, you can download the shells, you can download the applications, and you can build your own operating system also. If you are good at C and C++, okay, everything you can download. For example, kernel if you want. Okay, so you have a website called kernel.org. Okay, if you get the kernel.org, you can get all the Linux kernels here. It is only the kernel you can find. Okay, but kernel is not enough, right? Because kernel only interacts with the hardware. We require shell and application. So for that, we require graphical environment. For example, if you want to get any graphical environment, there are so many graphical environments. For example, Genome is one of the graphical environment we have. Okay, here you can see Genome, originally anacron to GNU. You know about the GNU. It is a free and open source desktop environment, okay, for Linux. So here you can see open source desktop environment for Linux in the sense for the Linux kernel. Is it clear or not? So what you need to do, get the kernel here, compile it, then download the graphical environment, compile it, integrate this kernel with this graphical environment, release your own version of operating system. Okay. I hope you are getting this concept, okay? Because it is the open source. In the open source, everything is available, like kernel is available, shell is available, applications are available. So what you need to do is take all these things, compile yourself and integrate yourself and provide the output, okay? Any queries here? So what is Linux operating system, clear, right? Linux operating system is nothing but Linux kernel with the shell and applications, okay? But why we are discussing this much of information? Because unlike Windows, Linux is not a single piece. Okay, so someone downloads the kernel separately, graphical interface separately, shells and everything. they are integrating and they are developing their own applications. Okay. Now, so why Linux? The next question is, okay, this is a story that is good, but why Linux? So for desktop purpose, because we have different users. One is desktop users and next one is servers. Okay, there are two categories when coming to the operating system. Actually, whenever I was first time checking the computer and all, at that time we were having two only, but nowadays one more also included. What is that? Mobiles. Okay, but anyway, it is not our requirement. Now, when coming to the desktop, the best operating system we can say is Windows, because everything is available, even easy to install, easy to manage. Okay, so everyone are familiar with Windows. Okay, now when coming to the server, so now here is a coming to the picture. So server have different hardware, like very big hardware, TBs of RAM, right? There's a number of CPUs. Okay, and different tons of hard disk. So how the hardware can be organized? Okay, so Windows is not much high level to manage heavy hardware and software. Okay, to provide good performance and everything, especially database. Okay, even if you are to manage a database server, okay, like a database cluster, then they prefer a Linux server rather Windows, because for the performance, compatibility and everything. Okay, not only for TV servers, even web servers, right? Even if you go for any data center, they prefer Linux rather Windows because of its support and performance. Okay, and the kernel, how the kernel Linux kernel integrates with the hardware. Okay, that is also very important. And when coming to the Windows, we know that it is the performance is not much uh, work in real time environment. Okay, so mainly hardware related and performance. Is there anything missing here? Yes, it is obviously. That is what? Security is missing, very important. Okay, so when compared to the Windows operating system, Linux is more secure. Okay, even it will not let the user to modify any system files. Okay, even you know that viruses are mainly attacked to the Windows operating system, not to the Linux. Okay, even a few years back, you might have heard about that some ransomware attacked to most of the Windows machines. Okay, around in the world, 60 to 70% of Windows machines got affected, but none of the Linux machines affected for that ransomware. Okay, also Linux also provides performance and inbuilt security. Okay, so because of all this, we require or we prefer mainly Linux operating system when compared to Windows for servers. Okay, even nowadays for desktops also we prefer Linux operating system, but as a new to operating system or new to computer, I would prefer only Windows operating system to work on it. Okay, even I learned Windows first, then Linux. Okay. Now, so why Linux is clear, right? So I'm not telling some unnecessary things. Directly, I can say performance related, compatibility, and for security reasons, we prefer Linux. Okay. So if you run the Linux operating system, you can configure it and forget it. Okay, there is no blue screen of death or something is there for Linux operating system. But also one more thing, in real-time environment, we work on CLI rather than GUI. Okay, CLI is the most important one, then graphical one. Okay, graphical one may be okay for desktop, but servers it is not at all recommended. Okay, especially we work on command line interface. Okay, CLI is nothing but you know that command line interface or character line interface. Okay. Now, so what we cover in these sessions is like some basics, right? So how to work with Linux, like how to create files, how to create folders, okay, right? How to copy, like different commands. So basics is nothing but the commands only, okay, like creating files, managing files, directories, right? Okay, these are all comes under that. How to check the date and time, how to set the date and time, like copy the files, how to delete the files, okay, like what are the edit the text files, everything we'll discuss in the command line. So these are all comes under the basics. After the basics, we'll start with the administration side, okay, because in order to manage this, we require this basic commands. Even in the basic command, one more thing I forgot to say, the very important thing you must know is file system hierarchy. Okay, this is very important. Without understanding file system hierarchy, you cannot work on any operating system, not only Linux or not only Windows. Even if you want to use your mobile phone, also we require a file system hierarchy. Okay, so first we'll see what is file system hierarchy. So after understanding the file system hierarchy, then we'll see some basics like how to work with the Linux, like how to create files, how to log in, how to log off in GUI mode and CLI mode and all. After that, we'll start the administration part. So here we can see some user management group, like how to create users, groups, and some storage part. Okay, how to manage the storage, how to manage the packages, okay, etc. We'll discuss here. Okay, what are the different types of storage available? What is LVM? What is RAID concept? Okay, how to configure the LVM? How to configure the software RAIDs? But anyway, in real time we have a hardware RAID. But I'll show you, for example, software RAID also. Software RAID is not recommended for real time environment. But I will show you the functionality on the software RAID. Okay. And some networking part. So how to configure the IP address, what is IP address, how to check what is the interface, how to bring up the interface, how to down the interface, okay. Even if possible, we'll discuss about the bonding also, okay. Or what is Ethernet bonding and all, okay. Bonding is very important concept, okay. So all this we'll discuss, okay. So any questions so far? Okay. So we'll stop here for today. Please let me know if you have any queries. Yeah, yes.